Hello students, welcome to this video. And in this video, we continue looking at Act 1, Scene 2. In the previous video, we stopped with the comment on, the Duke was asking Antonio about horsemanship. And then Antonio said that good horsemanship produces good princes. Okay. And then let's continue looking at Act 1, Scene 2. So what happens is the Duchess, some people enter and we'll see who enters. We see the Duchess for the first time. So the Duchess enters. Okay, this is after whom the play is named the Duchess of Malfi. So the Duchess enters. The Cardinal comes in. Okay, along with her, the Cardinal, and then Cariola comes in, and then we have Julia also coming in. Now, the Duchess has been introduced now. Now you know who the Duchess is. The Cardinal, we already know he's the brother to the Duchess. So the Duchess has two brothers. One is the Cardinal, the other is the Duke Ferdinand. Who is Cariola? Cariola is the maid or the servant maid to the Duchess. Okay, and she's a very devoted servant to the Duchess, and we will. Okay, so she's the Duchess's maid or servant, you can say, and she knows many things about the Duchess, and she will play a very important role in the play. As the action unfolds, she'll be playing a very important role in the play. Then now, who is Julia? Julia is, I think you would have become familiar with her. She is Lord Castruccio's wife, and you know that she is the mistress of the Cardinal. Okay, so actually Lord Silvio is, all these people are there. Okay, along with the other lords and all that. And as an aside, so you have almost all the characters present. So let me tell you who the characters are. The other characters who are present in this are, of course, Castruccio. And you know that. There are 4 lords who came. Castruccio. Who else? Do you remember? Come on. You can try. You can do this. Castruccio is there. Then Roderigo, Crisolan, and these two people are, they laughed and then they got rebuked by the Duke did not like that they laughed at something, that they laughed at a comment by the Duke. So you remember them. So all these people are there. Okay, and Lord Silvio. Okay, and then Lord Silvio. So these 4 are already there: Castruccio, Rodrigo, Grisolan, and Silvio, and of course Duke Ferdinand is also there. So we are just continuing to look at the action. At the scene, at Act 1, Scene 2, and the action continues. The only point is these people have joined. They enter. The Duchess, the Cardinal, Cariola, and Julia enter, and we know who Cariola and Julia are. Okay. Now, so this scene that we are going to look at, conversation continues. So now that everyone is present, almost all the people are present here, Delio asks Antonio, now come on, tell me. I know I asked you for some information about the others. Please tell me. So now Antonio first he tells about the people present there. Okay. So now then first he talks about the Cardinal. Okay. Antonio talks about the Cardinal. Okay, and he says the following. So what we are going to look at in this part of Act 1, Scene 2 is, we will have a comparison between, or a comparison made between the siblings. Okay, what do you mean by siblings? Those who are born, those who have the same biological mother. Okay, that is brothers and sisters. Okay, they are called siblings. So the Cardinal, the Duke, and the Duchess are going to be compared. The Cardinal, Duke Ferdinand, and the Duchess are going to be compared. And Antonio is going to do that. So he starts with, the Cardinal. Of course, Delio has some information about the Cardinal. He says, I heard that the Cardinal is a very brave person, and he plays tennis and all that, and he fights single combats. So he's also a very good at combat. I mean, those days, you had combat with the sword, so he's very good at that. So this is what I heard. That's what Delio says. And then Antonio adds to it. He says, look, don't be deceived by the Cardinal's external appearance. Before we proceed any further, I'd like to point out that the conversation between Delio and Antonio are not heard by the other characters on stage. Okay. So Antonio gives this comparison and then he says, yes, okay, let's start with the Cardinal. So Delio has said something about the Cardinal. So Antonio adds to it. He says, look, the Cardinal has an external appearance which is very, very deceptive. Okay? What he appears outside, he is not inside. Actually, he has a very melancholic character. That is, he's very sad. That's what you mean by melancholic. Okay? So by melancholic, we mean sad. So outside, he may appear very, he may not appear that sad, but inside, he's very sad. And also, the second point that Antonio says about the Cardinal is, see, the Cardinal is very jealous and he's jealous of people. And when he is jealous of someone, he will plan something very bad for them. So when he is jealous of someone, he will plan something very bad for that person. Okay, his planning will be such that that person will suffer a lot. Okay, so his plan. Let me put it this way: he'll plan something bad for that person who is the object of his jealousy. Okay, and for that purpose, he will employ flatterers. Okay, we already know what flatterers are. Who flatterers are? A person who keeps on heaping false praise. Okay, panders. C, he will employ all these people. Intelligencers are spies. Okay, intelligencer is a spy. And D, atheists. And this is the I think the last type of person is very, very surprising, because remember, the Cardinal is attached to the church. Okay, in fact, with the Roman Catholic Church, and it's a very high office in the Roman Catholic Church. And imagine this person using an atheist to do something bad to to a person who is the object of his jealousy. So he will make use of all these people. Okay, any person. Okay, so who is a pander? A pander is someone who will try to feed, or who will try to cater to some very bad tastes. Okay, a person who caters to low tastes. Okay, people. So that's who a pander is. Okay, so he will make use of all these people to make you suffer if you become the object of his jealousy. Antonio continues talking about the Cardinal, and he says, see, he's such a he can use turn things in such a way. You know what he did? He bribed the Cardinal, bribed his way to the Pope. He wanted to become the Pope. He bribed his way to become the Pope. His way to be Pope. Imagine doing that. A person who is supposed to act according to godly ways, and who is who is supposed to be on the path of righteousness, is doing all this. And then he says, even God may not know about his, even God does not know about his bad intentions. Okay, does not know the Cardinal's bad intentions. So we are able to get, if you look at this, Antonio's sketch of the Cardinal is a description of the Cardinal is almost giving us, this is the character sketch of, almost like a character sketch of the Cardinal. Okay, so he continues, he says, even God does not know his bad intentions. And let me read those lines out to you. Okay, so we are in Act 1, Scene 2. He says, okay, if you would, but instead of coming to it by the primitive decency of the church, he did bestow bribes so largely and so impudently, as if he would have carried it away without heaven's knowledge. Some good he had done. So even God, he thinks that even God does not know his bad intentions, his bad intentions. That is what he thinks. Okay, so that is how clever the Cardinal is. Now that some picture of they've got a picture of the Cardinal. Antonio now speaks about the conversation moves to Duke Ferdinand, who is the Duke of Calabria and brother to the Duchess. Now, so there is a saying. There is a perception that the Duke laughs a lot. Okay, he smiles a lot, he laughs a lot, but this laughter He laughs a lot. But remember, Antonio says, no, 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 be very clear that when the Duke laughs, this laugh is again, see, both the Cardinal and the Duke are not inside what they appear outside. So he actually calls him a twin of the Cardinal. So that is how bad Duke Ferdinand is also, who Duke Ferdinand's character is. Duke Ferdinand's nature is actually, he calls him a twin of the Cardinal. Just as the Cardinal employs all these people, flatterers, panders, intelligencers, and atheists to plan something bad for someone. What he does is he has the following people: spies and flatterers. He says he makes use of, this is what he does. He makes use of spies and flatterers. Okay. And what he does is he uses them for getting information. Okay, for getting information. And actually, the Duke is in such a position where he will be judging other people. So he will sit in court and he will judge people. But look at how he does that. So let me read out those lines. We are in Act 1, Scene 2, line 95. So Antonio is talking about Duke Ferdinand. He says, in quality, he speaks with others' tongues and hears other men's suits, and hears men's suits with others' ears. That is, he will get information from others, from spies and flatterers, and he will act as if he is sleeping on the bench. So when he is a judge, he will act as if he is asleep. And when the witness, or when the person, deposing, or when the person is, telling about or giving information in front of the court, what he will do is, since the witness thinks that, this person is actually asleep, in this act, he will catch you with your own words. Okay? He'll catch you when your tongue slips. So you will also relax. So never think that he is sleeping as a judge. When he is judging people, he acts as if he's asleep. Okay? He acts as if he's asleep, but then he will catch you when your tongue slips. And obviously your tongue will slip because you'll think, oh yeah, the Duke is sleeping. So there's no problem. And then you will start speaking something which turns against you. And since the Duke is a judge, look at the judgments that he gives. He will give men the death sentence based on gossip. So if someone says, no, this person deserves a death sentence, or some casual remark is done, so he will give the death sentence based on gossip, which is very, very unusual, and which is in fact very dangerous. And the ulta, he does the ulta also. He rewards someone based on hearsay. What is hearsay? Hearsay cannot be admissible in court. Hearsay is actually a statement which is not admissible in court, but he will admit it, which cannot be actually taken for legal consideration, but he will do that. So this is how the Duke is. The Duke is, if the Cardinal is is bad in one way, the Duke is bad in the same way. He, in fact, is a twin of the Cardinal. He uses spies and flatterers for getting information. Then he will act as if he's asleep when he's judging a case. When it comes to a case and when he's judging, he will act as if he's asleep. And then suddenly you'll catch you when your tongue slips, because you as a witness, you should not think that he's asleep. And that is the biggest mistake that you'll be doing. So this is what he says. And then, he continues. This is how, I'm sorry to use that word, how dangerous the Duke is. This is the information that Antonio gives Delio. In fact, Delio adds, I've heard about all this. I've got some idea about the Duke. I heard from somewhere that the Duke uses law. So essentially, Delio concludes from this and from other information that he has. He says, oh, from what you say, it seems as though the Duke uses the law. He uses the law. So Delio, I don't want to say adds, he concludes, okay? Because Antonio has given a picture of the Duke. So Delio concludes about the Duke. He says, the Duke uses the law like a spider uses its web. Like a spider uses its web. So people, you've got a pretty good picture of who the Duke and the Cardinal are. Okay. Okay. And then actually there is no, I mean, it continues, the conversation continues. And then, there is one more comment that comes about the Cardinal. And this, I'll just read that out. And, what he says, Antonio says, so Antonio says this about the Cardinal. I'll just say, give this last comment about the Cardinal. Just people, you may not be able to read the letters here, the sentences here. I'll just read out, and then please follow my words. Okay, please follow my voice. For his brother there, the Cardinal, they that do flatter him most say oracles hang at his lips, and verily I believe them, for the devil speaks in them. So the connection between the devil and the Cardinal is made. This is the second time it's being done, if I'm right. Bosola had done it earlier in the play. So then he says, so this is what Antonio, adds about, Antonio tells about the Cardinal. So those who are close to the Cardinal, Antonio says this, those who are close to the Cardinal believe that the Cardinal is, I mean, God speaks through the Cardinal. That's why the word oracle is used here. Okay, an oracle is a priestess or a priestess or a person through whom God will speak. So God speaks through, when God speaks through a person, that person is called as an oracle. But actually, it is not God, but the devil who is speaking through the devil who is speaking through the Cardinal. And this is a very, very strong statement. Okay, so I mean, but this is believed by those who are close to him. Okay, the people who believe the Cardinal, people who believe the Cardinal, believe that he is an oracle, but actually, when he speaks, God does not speak through him, the devil speaks through him. Okay, and that's a very, very strong statement. Remember, I mean, it's not an ordinary statement to say, ordinary statement to make, because remember, I mean, the devil has a very strong, also, using the devil when it comes to the Cardinal shows how villainy or how bad the Cardinal is. Okay, how much of a villain he is. But anyway, we'll discover how the Cardinal, I mean, what the Cardinal's character is as the play unfolds. Okay, so this is what he says about the Cardinal, and then the description moves on to, or the conversation moves on to, a description of the Duchess. When Antonio talks about the Duchess, actually, see, when you read the play, you realize that Antonio has a soft corner for the Duchess. Okay, now look at what he says. He says, look, the Duchess is completely different from her siblings. Okay, that is completely different from the Duke and the Cardinal. And let me read out. You never fixed your eye on three fair medals, cast in one figure of so different temper. Now, what does he mean by that? What does Antonio mean by this? He means that she's totally different from her brothers. Okay, three medals. That's what he says. By three medals, he refers to the three the two brothers and the Duchess. Okay, so Antonio, while describing the Duchess, says that she is a person of a different temper, by which he means, Antonio means that the Duchess is of a totally different nature. She is not like her brothers. Okay, she's not like her brothers, the Duke and the Cardinal. Then he continues, you will feel sorry when she speaks with you. You will feel sorry that when she stops speaking. Okay, when she stops speaking, you will feel sorry when she stops speaking. And the third point that he says about the Duchess is, she looks at you in a very sweet manner while speaking, and while interacting with the Duchess, she looks at you in a very sweet manner. And as you read, you realize the soft corner that Antonio has for the Duchess. And the fourth point, he says, she practices noble virtue. Okay, she practices noble virtue. All right. So people, dear students, I mean, you are able to get just a quick look at what we have seen till now. There is a, I mean, this entire dialogue conversation happens as an aside, as the other characters are there, but of course they are not able to overhear what is going on here. This is the scene that we are discussing, and Antonio first discusses the character or describes the cardinal. Okay, and he tells that the cardinal can do this and this and this, and in both the cardinals and the duke's case, the external appearance and the internal nature is, there is no connection between that. What they appear outside and what they are inside are two totally different personalities. And then when Antonio goes starts describing the Duchess, there is it is indicated, or it's very clear that Antonio has a soft corner for the Duchess. But remember, let us be very clear, Antonio is not of the same social rank, okay? And so, having a soft corner can always be good, but he cannot openly express it. Now, when they are discussing Cariola, they're about to complete this. He almost finishes describing her when Cariola tells Antonio that the Duchess has called the Duchess has called him in half an hour. Okay, he'll have to meet the Duchess. Tells Antonio that the Duchess will meet him, that he has to meet the Duchess in half an hour. Okay, meet the Duchess in half an hour. Okay, and with these people, we get a wonderful comparison of these of the three siblings. Okay, now let us not stop here. Let's not stop the video here. Let's just continue a bit more, and then you will understand the context much better. Now you have a clear idea of who these three, the two brothers and the sister are, of who these three siblings are. Let's just continue a bit more, and then you will get a clearer picture of what the action is, or of what is going on in the. Antonio and Delio exit, and we see a very short conversation going on between Duke Ferdinand and his sister, the Duchess, in which he informs the Duchess that, look, he tells his sister that he is recommending a person called Bosola to the position of the provisorship. This is the word that he uses. Provisorship of the horse. Okay, that is, this position is there in the Duchess's household. So he'll be taking care of the horses in the Duchess's household. The Duchess knows that Bosola has been in the galleys. That is, he has a criminal record. I mean, he has been punished. So the Duchess accepts her brother's recommendation. So he's sort of recommending, and he says, look, this person is there. Why don't you take him? I recommend him for this. And she accepts her brother's recommendation. And okay. And immediately after, we see that Lord Silvio leaves. Okay, actually they had come down for that. They had come for that, so because these people were leaving, and almost everyone else leaves the stage. Okay, so who all were there? The Duchess, Cariola, Silvio leaves, Lord Silvio, of course, Castruccio, Rodrigo, Grisolan, and Julia. So everyone leaves. Okay, everyone else leaves, and only two people are left on stage. Everyone else leaves except. So Lord Silvio is leaving, and everyone else also leaves. And we are left with only two people, the Cardinal and the Duke. And they have a short discussion about Bosola, and which we'll see in the next few minutes. Okay, so the Cardinal tells his brother, the Duke, that, look, okay, so they are planning, they are talking about Bosola, and the Cardinal is not very happy about Bosola making that false claim, which he did at the beginning of the play. When the play began, when Bosola comes, he makes a claim with the Cardinal, and he's not very happy about it. He warns the Duke He warns his brother, the Duke, that if you are using Bosola as an intelligencer as a spy, beware of him. Okay, be cautious. He warns the Duke, and he immediately leaves because he sees Bosola coming. Bosola enters, and immediately the Duke asks, what is the problem between you and the Cardinal? And then Bosola says, no, is there something wrong with your face? Okay, he says there may be something wrong with your face because my brother, the Cardinal, is not able to tolerate you. Okay, the Cardinal is not very happy with you, or is not able to tolerate you. And immediately Bosola says, never take the face as a very good, as an indicator. Okay, it's not a very good indicator for anything. The face is essentially very unreliable. There is a small talk about distrust. Actually, as a reader, as an observer, you wonder why the talk is about distrust and not about trust. Okay, I mean, but the entire thing is that when you trust a person too much, there is always chance of betrayal. Okay, so the Duke says it is good that you distrust. That is the limit to a trust, to someone's trust, so that you don't get betrayed. But then Bosola says that as a friend, if you are going to create distrust in a friend, then you will get it back. You will always get it back. So that is one problem. So this small thing is discussed here, just as a as a discussion on human nature. And the Duke somehow believes that it's better to distrust people than to trust them, so that you are not open to betrayal. Okay, so that you don't lose confidence, or you lose you trust that person so much, and then it's a huge shock when that person betrays you. But anyway, the conversation moves on. Duke Ferdinand offers Bosola. When Duke Ferdinand he shifts the conversation a bit, and he offers Bosola gold. So immediately Bosola mistakes that this gold is being offered to kill someone. But then that's very funny, because, well, that's what Bosola knows. But then he says, no, I am not offering this gold to kill anyone. I'm offering it so that you can start observing the Duchess, my sister, the Duchess. And so essentially, he's asking Bosola to become a spy. And there is a word that Bosola uses, which is using as a pejorative, as actually as a bad word. We'll see what it is. So, Bosola says, so you want me to be your intelligencer? Okay, we have come across this word. Intelligencer is used as, it's not a very positive word. It's a negative term to show that you are spying. Okay, but even the word spy is not correct. Okay, it's not. When you call someone a spy, are you congratulating them? Are you calling them? Are you saying something positive or negative? Obviously, you're saying something negative about that person. And then he also informs him about this position. See, for being this, you have been offered the professorship of, the professorship of the horse. So you'll be taking care of the Duchess's horses. And so for this, we are offering you this gold. Okay. The position comes with certain duties, but we are offering you gold so that you can, and spy on the Duchess and tell us what she's doing. Most importantly, she is a young widow. The Duchess is a young widow, and we don't want her remarrying. Okay, the Duchess is a young widow, and we don't want her remarrying. Please observe and tell us whether she is going to marry or not. So essentially, what the two brothers want, that is, Bosola will be reporting to the Duke, and of course, the information will be passed on to the Cardinal as to whom the Duchess is seeing. She is a young widow, and she should not remarry. Okay, she should not remarry. And for this purpose, the professorship of the horse has been given, because he needs some position there. So this is a position that has been offered to him. Use this position and observe the Duchess and tell us what is going on. This is his task. Okay, so Bosola says, okay, right. So I'm anyway, he's not very happy about. So let us see what Bosola's reaction is. Bosola is not happy about not happy to accept this, but he reluctantly, but then he reluctantly accepts this position. So now he has been posted as a spy. Officially, he is the provisor. He is taking care of the horses. Unofficially, he is going to act as a spy to the two brothers. He actually has been appointed by Duke Ferdinand. So people with that and of course with this we another scene comes to an end. Of course, we are still in Act 1 scene. So I told you it's a very long scene. So we will so this is end of video 3. And before we say goodbye, I would like to look at what has happened in this video till now. So what we were discussing was, we were first looking at a comparison of the three, just a quick look, 2 minutes. Initially, we were just looking at a comparison of the siblings, and here we are talking about, that is Antonio and Delio are talking, and then we are looking at a comparison of the Cardinal, one of the brothers of the Duchess. Okay, so this is his nature, this is his character. And then we come to Duke Ferdinand, again a twin of the Cardinal, and not both of them do not have very good intentions when it comes to others. And then we move on from the Cardinal, we move on to the Duke, and then we move on to the Duchess. Obviously, from the description, it is very clear that Antonio has a soft corner for the Duchess. Remember, Antonio is the steward in the Duchess's household. It's a high position, no doubt, but certainly in rank, he is lower than the Duchess. Okay. And then Cariola tells Antonio that he has to meet the Duchess in half an hour. Then Antonio and Delio exit. Okay, they exit, and we see that Duke Ferdinand and the Duchess talk, and then he talks about recommending a person called Bosola for the position of the provisorship of the horse. And then the Cardinal and Duke are left alone. The Cardinal cautions the Duke because he knows that that Bosola is being posted as a spy. He says, be cautious about Bosola because he makes false claims. Then they talk about this trust and all that. And then, of course, Bosola is not happy the way he's being treated. But still, when Duke Ferdinand offers him gold, Bosola thinks that it is to kill someone. But then he says, no, you have to observe the Duchess. Very importantly, you have to observe the Duchess and see if she is going to, that is, are there any suitors who are coming? Because remember, she's hardly 21 years old. And what do you mean by suitors? People who are prospective husbands. Okay, they'll come and propose to the Duchess and then marry her. She should not remarry. And for this, I've given you this position. This is what he says. Bosola is initially not happy. He reluctantly accepts the gold, and then he also accepts the position, and that is how video 3 ends. And after this, we are going to see a conversation between the brothers and sisters, and good news is awaited that we will see in video 4. So thanks a lot, people. Please go through this video, and we will complete Act 1 Scene 2 in the next video. Thank you. Best of luck, and see you in the next video.